Personal articles are anything that's like of high value in your home. And these policies carry outside of your home and even can carry internationally.
Okay.
So like if you have a nice watch, maybe a Rolex. I got a call from a woman a couple weeks ago. She was freaking out. She said, I had impact windows installed. All my liquor got stolen. And there was like 14 people here installing the windows and they stole a bunch of my jewelry. Does my policy cover this?
Renter's policy. Who does that cover? Does it cover the owner? Does it cover the renter? What does that all look like? How expensive? How inexpensive is it?
The rental policy covers two main things, and it could cover some other things, but one is liability, like if somebody gets hurt at the property. Now, this is going to be a situational thing. What happens? Whose fault is it? Who gets hurt? Second is the tenant, their belongings, their personal property. Go check with your auto insurance company because usually they give you a multi-policy discount and then it ends up offsetting the cost for a renter. Especially people that are, rent high and they need to save, that's gonna be their best bet because they're gonna get some sort of offset, if not all, because they have that renter's policy.
Right. Hi everyone, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something to help you make a little money, save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy world that we live in. And how I can actually say that every week is beyond me. Anyway, today we're here to talk about insurance, and we're going to talk about personal articles.
Nice.
Aren't you proud of me, Brandon? So we're here today with Brandon from Goosehead Insurance, and he is our insurance specialist. So he does not like to touch insurance that has to do with people's health.
Health, no.
What about life insurance?
I do have some life insurance products.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So if you are, a lot of people think that that's not important.
No, it definitely can be.
Yeah.
It's kind of a tough thing to talk about because it's kind of morbid.
Yeah,
but it's needed, especially for people with kids, families. Something happens to the breadwinner.
right. I think it's all part of financial planning, and
Yeah.
I think that, when you're talking about protecting even like an umbrella policy, car insurance, homeowners insurance, it's all like comes together where you want to make sure that you're protecting your loved ones in case of something unfortunate might happen.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
do you do disability insurance?
No, that's like under health.
Okay.
So I don't. I really like to stay in my lane.
Okay.
I do auto. See
Okay.
what I did there?
That's good. Yeah, that's good. So stay in your lane. I get it.
I try to stay in my lane in what we call the property and casualty lines of business, which are like your home insurance, your auto insurance, your liability insurance. And I do some commercial stuff, but I really stay in like the personal lines.
Okay.
And that's what helps me to be able to help people really well because I'm not trying to do that and sell financial products and
You mean like people
be
that
a
are
realtor
like,
and
I'm
sell.
going to be a realtor, I'm going to be a mortgage broker, I'm going to be the insurance agent, I'm going to be the jack of all trades.
They're also vegans. So
You're not, because Goosehead.
no, I was vegan for 2 years actually.
So you joined Goosehead.
No, I was vegan because I had stomach issues and it cured everything.
Oh.
But then I missed bacon. I ate bacon.
Okay, so moving along, personal articles. So tell us a little bit more about what personal articles
So
are.
personal articles are anything that's like of high value in your home. And these policies carry outside of your home and even can carry internationally.
Okay.
So like if you have a nice watch, maybe a Rolex, or if you have, jewelry that's worth earrings that are worth 25 grand or an engagement ring. Any type of jewelry is in this. Any like type of rare coins.
Okay.
Artwork is a big one.
But how do they know that you didn't just hide it or steal it?
It's a good question. Also, firearms are a big one. So it depends on the policy. There is a coverage in some policies called mysterious disappearance. And they're going to do their underwriting. They're going to do their due diligence to make sure you're not just saying it. And I'm sure there's people that get away with it, but that's insurance fraud, and that's like a big crime. So
Yeah, how big of a crime is it? I'm just curious. I'm just asking.
I should know this. I want to say it's a third-degree felony.
Okay, it was
But-
sure it was on your test.
I'm sure it was, but I can't remember that off the top of my head.
Right, and you planned on never meeting anybody like that.
No. But the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because it actually ties into homeowners insurance.
Okay.
So a lot of homeowners insurance have like a personal articles part to them. They'll include up to, maybe $1,000 or $1,500 in jewelry, let's say. But you can add more depending on the carrier. That's my favorite thing to say. But I got
Depending on the carrier.
depending on the carrier. I got a call from a woman a couple weeks ago that said she was calling me and texting me, and I was in some meetings and couldn't answer. Finally got her back on the phone, and she was freaking out. She said, I had impact windows installed, and I had all my liquor got stolen. And there was like 14 people here installing the windows, and they stole a bunch of my jewelry. Does my policy cover this? And I said, well, I always like to talk about personal articles. You should. And when I do a full review of the quote, I talk about that. If you have anything expensive, let's not have that on your home insurance. We don't want to rely on the home insurance company for that. Let's go get a separate personal articles policy. And so she actually had a couple of them for her big items, like $25,000, $30,000 pieces of jewelry. But
wow, they took everything.
But everything else she didn't have coverage for. And so it's really important that if you have anything that's worth that, I would say anything over.
Wait, let's step back for a second, though, right? So the people putting in the windows had to have insurance. So how does that work?
Yeah.
Sorry, this all intertwines, right?
Yeah, they should have insurance. She's going to have to take that up with them. And let's say they didn't have theft coverage on their commercial insurance policy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, then she's going to have to sue the company. Like, what more can you do?
Right, and small claims court is what, like max 5,000? I mean, I would guess it's more now today, but
yeah.
okay, so going back to,
so it's important to get that. So anything over like on the low end, $2,000 to $3,000.
yeah,
You want to get a policy for. Rolexes are not cheap.
Right,
A lot of people wear them $8,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $35,000. There's watches that are $150,000.
right. So how much? So if let's just say I had a $150,000 Rolex, right? I'd rather drive it, but let's just say I did.
Yeah.
What would that look like? What would that extra coverage look like?
So it's a really good question.
I'm sure zip code matters.
Yeah, a lot of things matter with this, but the higher you get, the more it kind of pulls away from a standardized pricing. And the same thing happens in home insurance.
Okay.
When we're talking about $15 million properties, it's a lot different from anything under $1 million. Anything under $1 million in our area, I can guess it within 20% most of the time what the premium's going to be with just a little bit of information.
Right.
Just based on experience. With personal articles, it's harder to do that. Now, personal articles, in order to get the policy, you usually need to have an appraisal done.
Okay.
Of that item, watch, earrings, whatever it might be. And so what I've seen is on your lower end stuff, let's say common household, average consumer, probably has an engagement ring or something along the lines of 10 grand or less. And usually what I'm seeing is, it should be less than a couple $100 a year, a few $100 a year for that policy. Some people say $100 a year.
Okay, but you evaded the question.
But 150,000?
Yeah.
I'm not evading it. I'd have to quote it to that. I would guess. I mean, you're talking easy a few grand.
So it could be as much as $500 a month in coverage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So on the lower end stuff, I can just go in and get a policy done. No problem. Super easy. Get pricing right away. Sell the policy right away over the phone if I want.
Okay.
You go to 150, that goes to an underwriter. The underwriter wants to review it. They want to see photos of it. They want to see the appraisal. They want to see the person who did the appraisals, like their licensing information, all of that. So it's not an easy guess because I'm putting it into the hands of someone else.
Interesting. It's funny, I even bought a diamond tester just so like if I give my ring to be cleaned, I can test it out afterwards.
It's probably a good thing to do. I never thought about that.
Well, it's funny. So my mother-in-law's father was a jeweler.
Oh, wow.
And she gave my daughter a necklace, and she went to go get the necklace fixed, and then they were, oh, this is fake. And I was like, what? I can't
Wow.
imagine
Wow.
Even my mother-in-law was shocked. And I was like, yeah, I took a diamond tester too. She's like, you took a diamond tester too. I was like, I just happened to buy one. Not to
Wow.
mention my youngest loves to like mess with those kind of things. So
Yeah, yeah. So it's a good coverage to have. It's important to have. Like I said, the average consumer is going to be probably under 10 grand for one of those items.
Right.
But that can be a big shock, and especially when it's of sentimental value.
Right.
You
That
know,
you can't even
that-
replace even with the money.
You can't replace it, but the money might help a little bit.
Right. Well, what I'm thinking is we'll go to commercial break, and when we come back, let's talk about renter's insurance, because that's a whole nother thing too, where you're talking about coverage for the owner, for the renter. Who's it covering?
Yeah.
And how much does it cost? So let's go to commercial break, check out our awesome sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. I'm here with Brandon from Goosehead, and we're talking about all different kinds of things that you just never think about when it comes to insurance. Number one, talking about personal articles. I got it right. And then we're talking about rental insurance, like renter's policy. Who does that cover? Does it cover the owner? Does it cover the renter? What does that all look like? How expensive, how inexpensive is it? So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so any landlord, to start with, to kind of start at the top and come down, any landlord should be putting in their lease agreement, you need to get a renter's policy. The tenant needs to get a renter's policy. You look at any big apartment community, any larger investor that owns a bunch of properties, they're doing that. And the reason why they do that, in my opinion, is because the rental policy covers two main things. And it could cover some other things, but one is liability.
Liability, how?
Like if somebody gets hurt at the property.
So the tenant's renter's policy covers that?
It can. Now, this is going to be a situational thing. What happens? Whose fault is it? Who gets hurt? But the landlord doesn't want their insurance going up because they make a claim. Okay. They're going to say the tenant, you didn't clean up your floor when you had,
a party yesterday.
A party. Your teenager served alcohol at a party they shouldn't have been having. That liability should be on them. Second is the tenant, their belongings, their personal property.
Right. Okay.
So their personal property, their clothes, their shoes, their furniture, their dishes, anything not attached to the property, TVs, all of those things. So those items would be covered. And so the reason why the landlord wants to have the tenant's property covered is, let's say the stove, which is owned by the landlord, something shorts out, causes a fire. Well, the landlord doesn't want to be on the hook for all the tenant's stuff, and the tenants say, oh, well, I had this and this and this, when they might not have. That needs to be on the tenant's policy. And those policies are cheap. They're not bad.
And what happens if they cancel the policy in the middle of their lease? That's on them, right? That shows defrauding the landlord?
Yes, because they agreed. And usually that lease agreement will say something like, the tenant is required to get a renter's insurance policy. Mm-hmm. And if there's not a renter's insurance policy in place, then they can't sue the landlord for
It doesn't
XYZ.
say that on the leases though, but it will
No,
say
you'd
to get
have
it.
to you'd have to add it.
Okay.
So I suggest people do that. Now,
Okay.
the better way to do it is to add the landlord as an additional insured.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, and so if the policy gets canceled, the landlord can be notified.
Interesting.
This happens with mortgages. When the mortgage company is on the insurance policy for somebody that gets a loan on a property, we put in what's called the mortgagee clause. If most carriers, pretty much all of them,
We'll
if
do
the
forced
policy
place,
gets if the policy gets canceled,
They'll get notified,
the mortgage company gets notified, and then they'll do forced placed.
which is
So-
super expensive, people. You
Super
do
expensive.
not, you
No.
do not want forced place like that is.
No, you don't. So the renters policies, they're not expensive. They're not expensive, so I don't like to write them. I'm kidding.
Well, how much does one cost?
So standalone renters policy, depends on the property and some other things, but and how much coverage you want. Typically I see, on the low end, $100 a year.
Oh, I've never seen it that cheap.
Yeah, it can be super cheap. We can strip down the policy. Usually, you're somewhere
Let's get
between
into that a
100
little
and
bit
200.
more when you're saying when you strip the policy, like, and I want our listeners to understand, like, how does that work? Because if they strip it too much, like, what good is it?
Yeah, so in the show in the past, we've talked about replacement cost versus actual cash value, which is for your personal property in this scenario, the insurance company is only going to pay out like the garage sale value of your stuff instead of what it would be new. So, you do the actual cash value, that's going to be a lot less, that's going to bring the price down. You don't necessarily need hurricane coverage on a renter's policy. You take that off, that's going to bring the price down. Some people will decide to have $10,000 in coverage. Some people will decide to have $50,000 in personal property coverage. That's going to change the price a lot as well. So those are like the big items, and then liability, how much is on there. Those are the big items on the renter's policy. It's a pretty simple policy.
So, okay, so if the tenant though then should have pictures of everything that's in their unit. They should do a video.
Based on
Because how else would you know?
I mean, anybody that owns or rents.
I've done video of my house before a hurricane.
Yeah, even now, like you go to the dealership to get your car.
They video it.
You always want to have documentation for what you have in either videos or photos every 6 months from every corner of every room. Make sure people can see. Make sure you know. I mean, you want to have documentation because the insurance company is going to make you prove that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, what do you recommend? Like, is there a lot of different underwriters for that, or?
So typically what I recommend for auto insurance is the first thing to do is check with with renter's insurance.
Sorry.
First thing to do
I was like,
check,
oh, we're switching.
The first thing to do is actually check with your auto insurance. Because a lot of times, a lot of auto insurance companies aren't writing homeowners insurance down here, which we've spoken about before.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of auto insurance companies are writing renters policies here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I usually tell people before I write it, because I'm going to make $4, on the policy.
Yeah, but maybe they'll need other things from you in the future.
They might. But the reason I say this, it's a relational thing. Go check with your auto insurance company because usually they give you a multi-policy discount and then it ends up offsetting the cost for a renter, especially people that are, rent high and they need to save.
Thank God it's come down a little bit.
Yeah, it has a little bit. But, they need to save. Well, that's going to be their best bet because they're going to get some sort of offset, if not all, because they have that renter's policy.
Right.
And then if that isn't the case, I have a few products for it.
Okay. And what is a good way for people to reach out to you if they're looking for a top insurance agent to help and a responsive insurance agent to help? That's important.
It is important. They can send me a letter by carrier pigeon. I said that to someone this week. I don't think they got it. No, my cell phone number is always the best
Is
way.
that how you're getting your baby in a few weeks?
By carrier pigeon?
Yeah, what do they call them? The stork?
You got to ask my wife. I don't know the answer to that one.
You've never heard of the stork delivering babies?
No, I have, but I'm just saying, you're gonna ask her.
Yeah,
in
she's going to be
charge.
like, she wishes, right?
Yeah, only 13 days. 13 days, and
Well,
we've got another-
congratulations.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. So yeah, my
Hope
cell
you have
phone.
your life insurance in place.
my cell phone. I do. My cell phone insurance policy.
You think he's bad now. Wait till that baby comes.
I know I'm not going to be sleeping at all. My cell phone number. I always answer the phone. Laura calls me whenever she wants.
He just doesn't answer for me. It's okay.
I always answer a phone call.
We'll test that out.
954-326-9842. And I think I called you today, and
You
you
didn't leave a
declined my
message.
call.
I was probably on the other line.
Ah.
Did you leave a message?
No, I'm not from
I
1980s.
cannot. Then text me. Wow. This millennial thing is just going way out of control.
That's funny. No, nobody from like my generation leaves messages. And I talk to anybody that's, I'm 31. I talk to people like 40 and over, and they're like, "Well, I didn't get a message from you." And I'm like, people do that?
You don't even know what a payphone is, do you?
I know what a payphone is.
You pay to use the phone?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
Where have you seen that at?
I mean, when I was younger, it was a thing. I'm also a fanatic Seinfeld fan.
Oh,
and
they
used
had.
them in then.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. When they were a quarter.
Yeah, you can ask me anything about Seinfeld. I'll know the answer.
I don't know anything to ask. So, any other things, like on the things that we've talked today, anything that you think that we've missed that you think is really important that people should know? Because, insurance is supposed to be a protective
Yeah.
purchase. And I feel like it's becoming very expensive. Is it cheaper for these same things? Like jewelry coverage? Because jewelry costs the same here or in North Carolina. Do you know anything? I know you don't write there, but maybe when you're at a conference.
No, it should be relatively close. Jewelry isn't like it's not like a crazy huge market within insurance. It's such a small portion.
But it's not cheap.
No, I mean for jewelry coverage, it's not terrible, but it depends who you ask.
And I guess that's the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, but I think we've covered.
I mean, does it make sense to spend $500 a month on an $80,000 ring?
It depends on how much that ring means to you, which is the whole point of insurance. How much does it mean to me to have
Not
peace
for
of
car
mind?
insurance. It's not an option.
Well, it is an
That's-
option.
For lower coverage.
Yeah, for lower coverage. If you want more coverage, same thing with an umbrella policy. Do you want that extended lawsuit protection in case someone sues you
Right, do you wanna
because you
not
have a
have
lot of
exposure?
assets? It really depends. Insurance is all about, do I want the peace of mind?
Right. So, well, if you are thinking about selling your home, now is the time to get your home on the market. We are getting ready to go into season, so I'm excited about that. Especially if you're looking for school districts, we definitely have some great areas for you. So if you're thinking about buying or selling and you have that need or that want, don't wait for the interest rates to come down. Don't wait till January 20th. Now's the time to buy if you can afford it. So give me a call, Laura Sanders with Remax Direct at 954-650-0827. Again, Laura Sanders with Remax Direct. And Brandon?
My phone number again is 954-326-9842.
So, anything interesting happen with insurance? Any policy write-outs or anything like that? Just out of curiosity before we end today. I always like to hear some cool stories, like something like either something really great or something like really horrible, to understand.
Yeah, I think one quick thing that we can mention is it's important to shop your policy. We've had some new players come in to the state, and one of them is just kicking butt.
Oh, really?
They're doing really well. They're really competitive. I'm putting a lot of people with them, and they're under an umbrella of a couple other companies that have been around for a long time.
we'll have to talk about
so
that.
I'm not concerned that they're going to be dangerous because they're this new guy in town that doesn't know what they're doing. They do know what they're doing. They have the backing. They have the people that have done this for a long time.
Right.
And so I have pretty high faith, pretty good faith in them.
Okay. So definitely if you're interested in knowing about that new carrier and, what they can offer for you, you should definitely give Brandon a call.
Let's make it happen.
And I'm trying to think. Oh, my mom, she was just telling me that she's getting pushed from Citizens to Slide. And she was like freaking out. But it's not till 2026. I'm like, are they really notifying you that far in advance?
Yeah, sometimes they'll reshop your policy, with 11 months left in the policy period. They did it to me.
And she already knows what her price will be for Slide.
No.
That's what she said.
They give an estimated renewal premium, which is like
great.
nuts.
So now
the
she's
market,
gonna have a stroke.
That's like saying to somebody, hey, in 11 months, your house is going to be worth $500,000. Right now, it's worth $480,000.
Yeah, one thing I learned going on these appointments is that people have me come out, and then my one question that I ask them is when are you really thinking about putting your house on the market? Because I might go on an appointment today, and they're not ready to list their house for 4 months. I'm like, please remember that whatever we've talked about today can either go up or down come 4 months from now.
Yeah.
So if another realtor tells you more money, please call me back again and give me the opportunity to make sure that it hasn't changed. 4 months is a long time.
I had a policy go up in just over a few weeks, $1,700 in price.
I better hurry up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'll have it to you by tomorrow. Again, thank you for watching Laura Sanders, Making Money with Laura Sanders. And until next week, we'll see you then. Bye.